Anyway, so today's show is about unhealthy coping mechanisms and how they possibly. No, let me just tell you about how they are and what it transfers into. Just so when you are going through these coping mechanisms, it's better for you. So the reason why I came up with this is because of Solange's song "Creating the Sky." I talked about it because a lot of people go through that. A lot of people actually go through those situations, and it's not just women; it's actually men too. And it's almost like when we find out, it's like we always like have moved to a new space. So even when those unhealthy coping mechanisms happen, we also look for new adventures and new ways to be in our own life. So that's the whole thing. It's like that's what I'm talking about today. So yeah, it's like we always transfer that into something else. Like we always take it and move it into being new people. So what happens is it changes. Like so with the change, it's like we'll just like find a new job. You see, so it's like we going through these coping mechanisms, but it's telling us that we are in danger. Not that it's something where you should feel like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. And I think I need to change that too, because I think that's the part of mental health. The part of mental health is that we think the negative is the worst part, but the negative is actually the warning. That's why we feel like we're not living in a correct type of world. So the negative part is the warning that's telling us that that's not what's supposed to happen. And I think this was like in one of my Black Martyr shows. It was like one of the people created like where you can do like 4 things in a day, like one thing for the environment, one thing for you, meditation and yoga, and something else you can do for so you can study, and then you also clean. So that's how our day is broken up into work and study, earth and meditation. And so that is what this is. It's like when we in these situations, it's not that we don't want to work, it's not that you don't want to do the job. What's happening is your body is saying, wait a minute, this is not the best situation for me because I don't feel good about this situation. Like, I don't feel good about anything that's going on, and it's not healthy for me. And so your body not only your body, but your mind and spirit are trying to find ways to cope or get out of the situation. So getting out of the situation, these mechanisms are actually a cue for you now to start looking for a different job, for you to start meeting new people, for you to start trying to change your environment or what you eat, for you to maybe start taking walks, for you to just pay attention to what is actually going on and where the negativity is coming from, so that then that negativity can cease to exist, because that negativity can drive you closer to death than being healthy would. So that's why you have coping skills and you have coping mechanisms. So don't ever just like, if somebody's like, well, I had these issues, don't actually judge them, because that's a time where they had to cope. It's actually time for you to start listening really hard, because they are telling you, I had this issue because this is what happened to me. I had this issue because now I need this in my life instead of this. And so, so it's like we look at it and it's like, oh my God, this is like the filthiest things humans can do. And really, they just coping mechanisms. If a person goes through it in a certain part of their life, it's okay. Because usually it just ignites, or it says that this needs to change. So, first one, leave without warning. That is one of the healthiest things somebody could do. And I'm telling you why. It's because they don't owe you an explanation. And I know people put that out as a meme, but they don't actually tell you what's behind it. They don't owe you that explanation. If you are there and you are causing drama and pain and terrorism and the worst thoughts of everything, they don't want to be there. And it's not that it's their fault. It could be the person that's sitting across from them. They cause people pain. So if I leave you without warning, that's telling me that, wait a minute, either I'm causing pain or you causing pain. But either way, there is pain involved. So that is the coping mechanism. And for me, I don't think it's unhealthy. I think it's one of the healthiest ones, because you can leave without having to tell people what it is or why you were leaving, because some people just don't need an explanation. If you know you are hurting somebody, or somebody is hurting you, why would you give them that explanation? Just get the fuck on. If you are causing pain, leave. If somebody is inflicting pain to you, leave if you have the power to do so. And that is actually what happens. So it's an unhealthy coping skill, but it's actually probably one of the healthiest ones. Fighting and negative comebacks. Now those are things that I think, yes, they are petty. And I think fight should be something that's planned. I'm saying like boxing. I think it should be planned. I think for people who enjoy it, let them do it. I think that we have gotten to the point where we don't have sport anymore. And I think sport is important. I really do. And the reason why sport is important is because we need to release the energy that we have for having those issues. So it's like the sport part is like one of the most important things that we could do. So I think it needs to be planned, and it's not something that you need to just go in and do. But the other thing is, it's like it happens because people get you to the point where you would like to abuse them, and again, that's like a situation where you just probably need to leave. Negative comebacks, and the people call that being petty. I do too, because I think that sometimes the negative comebacks are so ignorant, and they are so placed in ignorance that it's no use for them. It's just no use for anybody to do that. And so that's why I hated social media for a minute, because it'd be like, this is so petty. Like when men you need to douche, and it's like you have to do this, and women need to do this, and men need to do this, and they need to do that. This is like you don't have any basis or any research on what you were saying. Like what you have done is created something for your world, and now you expect the world to believe it. And if we don't believe it based on how you don't have the full amount of information, then people get defensive and all this stuff. And I'm moving into that one too. And that's something else. It's like that is is situationally petty. And the other thing is it'll keep your vibration low, because what you want to do is like you want to start to, like I already said, evaluate it and apply. So what you want to start to do is evaluate the situation and take your irrational thoughts or your irrational words and try to make them rational. And the other part of that is it is human, because sometimes you get pissed off. But for real, if you think about the rationality of coming back, some people, they take even what people say as stern or strict, or they got smart or something like that. And it's like, if you really think about it, then it might be true. I remember I was online, this guy, he was like, you are so ignorant. And I said, thank you, because that's the truth. I am. In some things, I am very ignorant, so I cannot be upset with him. It's like, dude, thank you. Because I would rather be that and be open to learning than being a person that feels like they know everything, because I don't know everything. I don't read as much as I used to. I'm not keeping up with the facts of the world. It's so many ways that I'm ignorant. So it's like, yeah, why would I have any issue with that? Why would I have a negativity thing through that? The only time I have a negative where I'm just like, why would you say that? I remember another woman was online, she was saying something like, you shouldn't be talking this way. And it's like, I'm not talking, you're reading it. And this is something else. I used to be like, you reading this. Like, so you don't know what I'm trying to tell you. Like, it's like, I am very positive, so it's no reason for you to think that. The next one is defensiveness. And that is based in ego tripping. So that's why it's unhealthy. But it's also healthy because now I get to check my ego. I get to check myself. The self that is me, that is I. And so that's why you have defensiveness, because you feel like, okay, now I need to take up for myself. And I do that too. I don't like people trying to say that anything is wrong with me, because it's like, no, nothing else is wrong with me. I know y'all don't understand me, but there's nothing wrong with me. Like, I'm actually a sane person. And if I heard my own story, I'd be like, this bitch is crazy. And it's like, it's actually true. It's actually fucking true. So defensiveness, you just like, no. That's it. They told me I would do something great with my life since the time that they said that to me. That's like the most positive that somebody would sneak and tell me. And I really do think it was my stepmom that used to do that. And she would be like, you are going to be famous someday. And then it was always there, but then I would never be famous. It's like they would just take part of me and they would make that part famous. But they would never actually use me. And so that was like, whoa, that's like a fucking wake-up call. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What has happened to you? So, anyway, yeah, it's like being defensive is an ego thing. And once you start to notice you are defensive, then you have to check your ego. So, even when somebody is telling me, well, this is what you are, this is what we think you are, it's like, no, I'm not. That's not who I am. I'm not that person. And so that's it. Like, all I can do is say, I'm not that person. I don't know what you're talking about. I have anxiety and PTSD. I have to move on with my life. But you are not going to continuously try to hold me back because of your stereotype of what you think I am. Because I've never been diagnosed with any type of schizophrenia. Ever. Ever. Okay. Flight mentality. Fight mentality. So that's the fight or flight, and that's like the window, like when you throw yourself out the window. So it's fight or flight, and those are responses to being put in situations where it's traumatic or whatever, or something where you have to defend yourself. And again, I'm not above saying that that's a healthy coping mechanism, because it's either fight or flight. Either I'm gonna cuss you out, or I'm gonna leave. And again, it's like it's still the same thing. It's like, really, it's kind of healthy, because once you get out that you defended yourself, that's like the proudest moment of your life. Those times should be some of the most proudest moments of our life, because so many times that we don't get to stand up for what we believe in. And that's it. So the fight or flight mechanism, yes. Throwing yourself out the window, totally fucking do it, and then do an ABC and figure out, why was that different for me? Was that something that was positive? Was that something is that an action that I need to keep? Because what happens is like some people, like as women, they'll try to be like, no, you don't need to do that. It's like, yeah, you do. You really need to do it. Fight or flight. Because that is how we deal with, fear. That's actually what we deal with fear, with anxiety. And if you don't get it out, people do not realize that that's actually what causes the anxiety attack, is when people tell us that we can't tell people stuff, or we need to be quiet, or we don't need to express ourselves. And that's probably why we have a high number of people with anxiety, because people try to make you lock all that shit away. And it's like, no, because I'm a fucking human, and other humans may feel like I feel, and maybe now it's 1 trillion humans, and now we can try to fix what the fucking problem is. Because sometimes the person that's silencing you is one fucking person. One person in an entire race of people feel that way. And so all you gotta do is knock down this one person, and now we don't have a problem anymore. Now that condition of anxiety is not caused. Now we are open for healing. And once we do that, now we get to teach our children and other people the same thing. So it's like, yeah, the fight or flight, that really could be a coping mechanism. Sleeping away the problem. It's like drinking. If you have anxiety or PTSD, sleep is important, because it will actually make you tired. It will actually tire your fucking brain, because you can't figure out how to get the pain out. And whether people know it or not, it takes a lot of brain power, and it actually makes you tired. It's not that we sleep away the problem. It's actually we sleep to a solution. So, like, if I go to sleep, then I can wake up and find out how to solve and make myself feel better. Sometimes I go to sleep, and then that's like, okay, that's why that's connected to her. But, so it's like the same thing. So you just basically, you are actually sleeping yourself to a solution. Not sleeping away the problem. You are actually sleeping yourself to a solution. Passive-aggressive behavioral ultimatums. I don't like these either, because this is also a form of manipulation. So that's actually a manipulation too, because some people will use ultimatums. Like, I think those are two different things. But ultimatums are like, that's manipulation. I hate that when somebody is like, no, it should be this and this and all this different stuff. So yeah, it's like those two, they got it listed as the same thing, but they are two different things, because that's going to come from two different types of people. Because I may be seen as passive aggressive, but I don't make ultimatums. So that's the whole thing. So it's like passive aggressive, I'm telling you one thing, but I really want something else. And that's how most women are. But then men are sitting in a situation where they make ultimatums, and both are incorrect. Like, it's like, just be upfront about what you want and how you want it. It's like all you gotta do is say the sentence. And so many people get used to the passive aggressive that when people are upfront about what they need and what they want, people try to pass it over because it's not a game that they playing. So that's when people say, you gotta play the game. And it's like, really, we need to change that concept, because there's no game to be played. All we have to do is basically, and that doesn't make anything interesting either. I don't think that both of these behaviors make anything interesting. So I don't believe in passive aggressiveness. I don't care if people like it or not. Like, I'm not about to change that part of myself, and I wouldn't want somebody else to do that either. But the ultimatums, that's something too. I think that that's something that just actually has to do away with, because it's a form of manipulation. And I think because people got confused because that's what they do in the classroom. Because in the classroom, it's a lot of people, and they don't have a lot of choices, and we don't have the time to do it. So then we set these parameters so that we are able to do that. So they were actually trying to set those parameters in my life, and it was wrong. It was just wrong. I don't like having to just like, oh, you only have these two choices. It's like, no, that's not for an adult. I'm a full-grown fucking woman. I am 42 years old. Stop doing that to me. So it's like, yeah, that's it. So I think both of those. Now, in that case, I think both are unhealthy coping mechanisms. But if that's something that you have to do, if you have to think to yourself, oh my God, I can't say exactly what it is that I need to say, then that's a problem, and then you have to go. That's an anxiety. That'll cause that other person anxiety. And I'm not saying that you have to say it up front anyway. I think women do it because they know that that's a way for them to protect themselves. And so that's the other thing about passive aggressiveness, is sometimes it's seen as passive aggressiveness. But if I sit here and tell this man, no, I do not want to fuck you, instead of just saying, no, this is not the time for me to do this, and trying to walk away, he's going to most likely, if I'm kinder about it, not want to be more aggressive with me. So if I got aggressive with him, then that's what happened. It's like, if I got aggressive with him, he would probably choose to be more aggressive with me. So it's like people would maybe think that women are more passive aggressive because of that too. But it is sort of like a protection thing for us. Ultimatums is like, I don't know. If you think about a world of ultimatums, I just don't like it. It's like, if you don't do this, then you don't get this. And it's like, that's just bribery. So fuck you and get on with your fucking life. And so a lot of people are enslaved or held back because of ultimatums. Because that's not how the world is, people. If you give those people the right to make a different choice, then you'll create a system with new ideas, and you'll have more of a bank of what could help other people. You see, so I'm a black woman, and so what if I gave you a new idea? So the next time an Asian woman comes to work for you, because she's a minority, you can look back at the data you have for me and how I handled the problem, and now she's Asian, her traditions are different, but it's sort of like the same problem. So maybe both of them are able to leave work earlier because that's going to be better for them. And I'm not saying confine somebody else. It's like just some situations cause for other people to have a new perspective of life. So it's like, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, instead of having ultimatums, especially in the workplace, you need to have it open for the creation of things that work out for other people. And the best thing about that too is that for me, if I was to create my solution to a problem, my main goal would always be to come back to work. So some other people are like that too. Their main goal would be to work. So maybe one person would be like, well, I have to pick up my kids from daycare at 3 o'clock. One person could say, well, my daycare is around the corner and my house is too. So I can do that and I can be back by 4. Another person be like, I have to pick my kid up from daycare. So their house is like 30 minutes away. But they can work from home. So now I log in by 4:30. You see what I'm saying? Because then that person has to drive home and pick up the kid and be home. So, and then also get food and everything else. So that is the difference. So it's like, I have to pick them up from school, but then I can finish my day working at home from 5 to 7 or something like that. So that maybe they get off, instead of just doing that, maybe they get off at 2, so they have time to run errands, and then they have the time to run errands and then get back home. And even if they didn't work in that time, because they were closer to the house, they were still working from home. You see, they could be at a Panera Bread waiting for the kid and working. The thing is that once we start to do that and keep it open for people to have many solutions to how they make money and work for companies, then we won't have to do that. But that's even in life. You have to keep it open and listen to other people's perspective, because ultimatums are such a very unhealthy way to help people. Okay? Negative body language, crossed arms and rolled eyes, crossed and closed off legs and arms. So this just sounds like a list of stuff that people do to like warn you that you pissing them off. I'm serious. I'm looking at this. I'm like, this is just a list of piss off activity. But anyway, so Again, I don't think it's unhealthy. You have to look at it like, this person, I'm not making them happy. And it's like, how do we get to a good solution? How do we get to the balance of what I want and what I need from you, and what you want and what you need from me? And that's all that is. That's just a warning. That's all those is. That's it. It's not for me to get defensive about it. It's not for me to get upset about it. It's actually for me to see it and be like, how do I change this situation for this person? Because that is the power that I have. And if I don't have the power, it's better for me to explain why. So then, therefore, we can move on with our lives. So, not listening, but jumping in and waiting to talk. That is an unhealthy coping mechanism, because that tells you that sometimes that person doesn't actually have power in certain situations, or that person is taking power over you. And so that is an unhealthy coping skill, because you actually need to sometimes wait for the other person so you can start to listen. And that was something from my classroom. So they have been trying to either talk over me during this process, or they'll try to say that I'm talking over them. So they'll try to, let's do it at the same time. It's like, no, we're not doing anything at the same time. We are going to keep this to we're going to do this right. Like, I don't know what your problem. So it's like, that's something I don't even want to talk to them about. It's like, you think you know something, and that's not what's going on. Like, stop fucking with me. So, yeah. Avoiding eye contact. Now that I know my story, it's like, I actually had to realize that I never saw my stepmom's face. And I know that I've been in NASA and all this different stuff. But anyway, I never used to really see my stepmother's face, and I don't really think I even have real pictures of my stepmother. I think the pictures were actually taken out of the book. Like, it's like, I had a scrapbook, and I was thinking, I was like, all I remember is her legs, and I think it was probably taught to me like I just never seen her. But the sweetest story about my stepmom was that she held me when we used to go to Louisiana. She would hold me, and she would tell me that she'll never be able to have children of her own. And it was like, she'll never be able to have children of her own, And at the time, I didn't do it, so she would say, you are my baby. And it's like, that's it. Like, she was just the perfect person for me. She was absolutely perfect. So, again, now I think about it, she could have been like my bodyguard or something, because I never saw her fucking face. So, and they just kept all other pictures out of her. And she used to tell me too, she said, you have cheekbones. She is the reason why I'm so proud of being black. Like, she would tell me that. She would be like, you have cheekbones. And when I saw Whoopi Goldberg, that was it. I was like, I am in love with this woman. It's like but my stepmother, she used to have them too. And so what happened too was, I guess it was like a different woman. When my grandmother and my aunt Phyllis moved to a new house, they were in Belleville, and they moved to a new house, and it was like, I really didn't recognize her. It was like a different person. So I never really knew the whole time what her face looked like. I just remember that she was light skinned and her legs were light. And they kept looking at me. They always look at me like, does she know that we different? Does she know that we changed, or anything like that? And so that's the whole thing. It's like, it's so weird how everybody just fucking changes. And it's like, I don't know. I just never really saw her. And it's like the first time I saw her, it was in the sunlight. She was in the sunlight, and it was like a bunch of trees. And I think we were going to church. And I thought she had on stockings. And I said, your legs are so pretty. And I touched her leg. And she said, don't ever touch my leg again. Or something like that. But I was like, it looks like it's wax on her. She did not say that. It was my cousin. It was somebody standing next to her that said that. And she said, it's okay. But she had it was like her legs actually looked like it was wax. I was like, oh my God. It was like they had put it on her. But it wasn't stockings. I guess it was her grease. But it was just like, I just thought she was so beautiful. But now it's like avoiding eye contact. It's like I just never really saw what she looked like, ever. I never saw what she looked like. Like, seriously, y'all, I don't remember. And the one thing, and like I said, the one day I saw her, that's the last picture I have of her. She had really pretty cheeks, and she had light skin, and her legs were light too. Like, they were light. Like I said, they were just beautiful. But she was the one to tell me all the time how beautiful I was. She said, your legs are so pretty. She said, you got the prettiest legs. And she said, you are my baby. And so when we used to go to Louisiana, That's what she would do. She'd say, "You my baby," and she would treat me like a baby. But then we got back to Texas. I was just alone a lot. So I don't know. That was it. So I don't know. It was just different for me, y'all. I don't know. But like I said, she just never was there a lot. She just would wait until we were by ourselves. Like, she would come in and sing songs to me when I was in the bathtub and stuff like that. And she would just wait for us to be alone, for me to, like, for her to have a personality with me. And when it was just us, it was just me and her. It wasn't anybody else. Like, it was always, like, I don't remember me, her, and my dad being together. It was, like, always stuff. And my dad, though, he used to be so happy, y'all. Like, we would be going to, like, all, like, the places in Galveston, Texas. He would be so excited. He'd be like, "Come on, let's run," and all this different stuff. He was, like, so happy. And I was, too. I used to run to all the different things, and then sometimes it would get boring because they would want to try to ask me, like, a lot of crazy questions. It's like, I don't want to talk to you because I don't know you, and I don't want to do that. But she was the most loving person ever, and it might not have been her all the time. It could have been other people, but she just loved me like that sometimes. Like, it just, like I said, she just hold me and just tell me that I was her baby. I don't know, like, it was like some of the best cuddling time I ever had in my life. I miss cuddling. You know, she would teach me how to do different animals and stuff on the wall and all those different things. So, I don't know. I just really did miss her, and that's what I wanted. I needed her, like, because it was like I said, she probably one of the only people in the world that ever taught me stuff. So, let me move on. So, I don't know sometimes what people look like because I can't see them. I just don't, I'm not able to see, like, sometimes out of my peripheral, or it'll be, like, shaded for me. Overeating is unhealthy, but it's unhealthy. Don't do it. 80% full. I'm so with that, because if you get too full, your stomach can get tight. You can get tired. Sometimes you will overeat, though, because you are a human being. Sometimes you know that when you have to pack on something, so that's it. Undereating, yes, that would cause you to be hangry. So don't be hangry either. Like, don't be that type of person. Don't undereat. Make sure you eat and involve yourself in everything. Lack of sleep. Make sure you get a significant amount of sleep. I know creators are like, people don't know this, but creators are infamous for not getting sleep. But then they will get sleep. You see what I'm saying? So it's nice to know that DJ Khaled does that. But remember, it's 4 parts of this, and it was also created by a black martyr. And it's like, again, sleep is part of that. So 4 parts of your day is like part of that is sleep. And you don't have to sleep in increments of 8 hours. You can actually get sleep and wake up, and get sleep and wake up again. And that's actually starting to be true, because people are noticing that since they are at home during the COVID-19. If COVID-19 is real. But still, since people are at home, it's like they start to notice, like, okay, I can wake up and go back to sleep. Or I can be in 8 hours. And I think the older you get, the more that changes. But if you're a person of naps, then take naps. I remember when I was little, they used to teach us to take a nap. Like, so people would actually think we were Hispanic, because we would we would go to sleep in the middle of the day. Like, my aunt would be like, "It's time for you to take a nap." That was just like a part of the house. It's time for you to take a nap. Go take a nap. So at 12 o'clock, we go take a nap. We actually used to have a siesta in my family that was in East St. Louis. We used to actually have a true siesta. I would actually take a nap. You see? And y'all, let me tell y'all the craziest part of this. It's like, I think they used to move the house for whatever reason. Because when I was little, sometimes, like, I didn't get to go outside, but also, like, one day I just felt like the world was moving. Like, while I was in the world, like, they were just, like, moving me somewhere else. And that was it. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what am I in? So it's just like, yeah, sometimes it used to feel like the world would be moving. But I wasn't involved in it, you know? I know, it's crazy. I know. Okay, next one. Letting go of reality. I'm not letting go of reality. This is my reality. I'm not lying. It's the truth. But letting go of reality, that's something else. You might not, I don't think it's true. I think that we are actually probably in those situations for real. After living in my life, I realized that sometimes it's not us letting go of reality. It's sometimes people trying to take control of things that they shouldn't be trying to control. And so again, it's like I don't think that that's what's happening. I think that people are actually just taking over things that they shouldn't be taking over. And so I don't know. Some of these I'm just like, now that this is my reality, now that I know what's going on, I don't know. I don't agree with most of these things, and it's probably just so they can have another form of control over people and what they do. And so um, that's it, you know. And I think that when people first realize what's going on, because when I first really started to realize that that's what they were doing, I was going crazy because I never want to accuse people of or give out false information or anything. Like I want everything to be kind of factual, and that's it, you know. And if people don't know the code, then it's like they would actually think that I'm lying. And it's like, no, I'm not lying because that's not the code. That's how I know what's really going on. It's like, it's not true. What you're saying is not going to help me. So yeah, that's the code. Lack of proper hygiene. That is like a huge red flag because it's like they are not taking care of their basic needs. Something is not being taken care of in their basic needs, which is that. And when you're trying to get to the hierarchy, so they need to be like kind of in the middle. So it's like they need money and they need food, and so if you don't have the proper hygiene, they probably lacking money somewhere in there. They lacking time and they lacking sleep. And so people don't look at you not having proper hygiene as something else. They just like, oh my God, this person is funky, you know. And it could also be a warning mechanism. I remember when I was going through my nervous breakdown and I thought about being raped, I was like, I don't want another man to want me, so I didn't want to wash up anymore. I wanted doodle stains in my drawers, and I wanted a funky coochie. And I'm not joking. I know I'm being very blunt. A funky vagina, you know. It was like, and that was it. It was like, or then when I thought about it, like when I came down after having an anxiety attack, I was like, that is an actual mechanism for kids and women. Like we actually use the hygiene as a part to tell somebody to not abuse me. Because if I stink, you will probably be less likely to touch me. And it's not always true. If I stink, that means they probably more likely to touch you because then they think that no, like it's easier because nobody really cares for you anyway. And they could also use that against you to fuck with your mentality. So it was like, man, I guess being clean is better because then that way nobody is trying to abuse me. And so that is actually found it after I saw how my grandmother was. And I was like, okay, because she thought that everything was negative. She thought that everybody was out to get her and nobody is, and my father too. And he also thought the same thing. It was like everybody out to get him, all this different stuff. And really my father wasn't like that before. He was just really open. And so that's why I was like, all this shit is really changing. So that's it. It was like, the lack of proper hygiene, at first it was something as a warning, but really a lot of people would take that as a chance to attack you, a chance to attack and abuse you. And so, you know, that's when it's like, okay, let's pay attention because now we got to get this person back to somewhere and we have to figure out who is attacking them, who is abusing them. So the lack of hygiene is actually a recourse of abuse, is a recourse of trauma. So that's what it is, lack of communication. That's from not trusting people. And so people can say that's unhealthy, but for women and children, it's not. For black men too, we don't want to talk to you because you're not listening to what I'm telling you. I am telling you the truth, and you are causing more issues for me to have to cope with what's going on with you. So that's the other thing too. Like you need to start really communicating. I'm not saying. I'm just saying the person in front of me that's telling me that I'm wrong, that I'm confusing people, that everything I'm doing isn't right. That's what it is. It's like you have to start realizing that I'm not communicating with you for that reason. I'm not communicating with you because you will not be able to help me solve my problem. I cannot trust you that way. So, I don't know. It's not. These don't seem unhealthy to me. They actually seem like healthy forms of communication to keep yourself safe. So, I don't know. Sometimes, yeah, like it's like the titles and everything are different. But I'm gonna still put it on. I'm gonna still put it in the video. But I'm gonna still put the link below. But seriously, yeah, some of these are actually healthy. The only one I would say was really unhealthy is ultimatums. Everything else is usually so a person finds a way to keep themselves safe. The overeating and undereating too, lack of sleep. I would say out of those four, they unhealthy, but everything else is probably masked as being unhealthy, but it's actually probably some of the healthiest things you can do for yourself. Because that's what people are forgetting. These have to be healthy for yourself. These are made for you to stay safe, and all these things are actually very human. They are very human reactions. So you can't change that about yourself. And if you see the list, don't think that you have to. You are perfect just the way you are. But use these as warning signs to start finding a new job, to start hanging around new people, to start looking at how safe your environment is or how unsafe your environment is. Anyway, Shantae with Brown Sugar Talk on the Black Unicorns, telling you to have a great day.